Okay, now that we've started building some actual features here, we've been putting some of Bubble's tools and options to use. And there are obviously a ton of them. Honestly, it can be super overwhelming to come onto the platform and see that many options. It's like an information overload. But in reality, that's a good thing. Most app builders don't give you that kind of customization power and instead make you build based off their own strict guidelines or settings. That kind of limitation really hinders how much you can customize, scale, and expand your app. So while the number of tools Bubble gives might feel overwhelming, it's good to have them. And we're going to go over some important ones right now because you need to understand what they do. So the first thing I'm going to point out is this top toolbar here, which is a global toolbar that doesn't change too much no matter where you are in the editor. The first thing is this page drop-down list where you can manage all of the pages in your application. You have a few built-in ones like these three we see right here, but then you can also create new pages for your application as well. Then you have the element dropdown, which is a similar search tool where you can look for elements that are on the page you are on. If I start to type in password, for example, then it'll filter down and say, okay, you do have an element called input password. If I click on that, it'll take me right to it like that and pull up the property editor for it. This particular menu changes depending on the major tab that you're on the left side here. So for the design tab, it's our element lookup. We also have on the very right here some design tools to help us with our application to make sure that everything is aligned properly. I pointed those out earlier. You do have a lot of different options that you can play with based on your preferences. You also have some arranging tools to help you center things and distribute them evenly, more for fine-tuning your design. This drop down here is a very important one. This actually lets you publish your application. If I click on deployment and version control, I can deploy my application, which essentially means publishing it to live, and see any previous deployments. If I ever need to revert back to a previous deployment, I can do that as well. This is essentially where the versioning system of your app lives. Of course, as you just saw, you can click on the preview button in the upper right from no matter where you are in the application to open up a real-time page of your application. This design tab obviously has all of the elements that you can possibly add to your page. If you install any plugins, they might add extra elements that you can work with. You also have a completely separate design tool for responsive designs. Responsive essentially means that your page will react to different widths of your browser screen or of your phone, whatever size screen you're viewing the app page on. This responsive editor will let you make sure that your app looks really good on all screen sizes. If you go over into the workflow tab, this is where you create those triggers and actions to make things happen in your application. So a workflow is essentially made up of an event like this here when this button is clicked, and an action like this here, sign the user up. You can add multiple actions for every workflow event. So you can have many things happen. I could sign the user up. I can have an email go out as soon as a user is signed up, maybe letting me know that, as the application owner, that I have a new sign up, or sending an email to the user themselves to say, welcome to the application. I can also take the user to go to a different page in the application if I wanted. You can really, it's an endless number of steps that you can add to this workflow event here. And you can also have as many workflow events as you want. The bigger your app gets, the more events and actions you will be adding to your workflow section. Bubble also has a way to help you organize your workflows, especially when you get to that point where you've grown to dozens and dozens of workflows. You can put everything in folders, helps you organize everything. There's a handy workflow tree to help you view everything in a slightly different hierarchy display there. You can also color code your workflows. Here, if I select this event, I can change the color so it's easier to find things when I have a lot going on this page. The Data tab is actually broken up into 4 separate tabs. There's a lot going on here because of how customized you can make your database. This first section allows you to create the different data types, in other words, the different data categories that you have for your application. And as you saw when we were creating the sign-up form, I created custom fields for my user type. Now I can continue building out this user type with more fields. I can create other data types. For example, if I'm building a job board, I can have a type for job postings, a type for company, a type for application. It really just depends on what it is I'm doing. And this is just where it all gets built out. The App Data tab, I know I'm going a little bit out of order here, but this sort of follows your data types. Once you see records in your database, you can manage it all here. When things are created or if they're edited, you can view all of the records here. You can edit them as well. As the admin of your application, you can open this up and edit the record if you'd like, or just use it as a way to confirm that things are being created properly, make sure that nothing is coming in with blanks. It's a good troubleshooting tool, but just an overall place for you to manage your data. The Privacy tab is a really handy security feature that you can completely customize for your users. This is where you can create permissions so that specific users can either edit or read or have no access to data in your application. The next tab is the File Manager. Anytime a user uploads any kind of file, whether it's a picture or a PDF, they will all show up here, and this is for you to manage and make sure that files aren't too big, and you can delete them or search for them however you'd like. The next tab is the Styles tab. This is where you can create presets for designs of any type of element in your application. Bubble has included a lot of preset styles for you right from the start, so you can use theirs or you can create your own. The Plugins tab lets you install plugins, which are like extensions to your application. In the Settings tab, there's a lot of general settings that you can configure for your application. This is a lot of back-end stuff like what Bubble plan your app is on, the custom domain that you want to put your app on. This is the URL that your app will live on, like this one up here, and general appearances, and a lot of other customizations that will really make it your own. Under the Logs tab, you'll have a lot of information about your app's performance, as well as a real-time log on all of the actions that are taken throughout the application. It will give you all of the information broken down, timestamped, so that you can troubleshoot if you ever need to see what happened in real time.